Hello, everybody. My name is Robbie. I'm from Major League Hacking. I am currently still vibing to that banging tune that was just playing, so you're going to see me bobbing up and down a little bit. I'm very, very excited to be here. Today, we're going to be looking at using a weather API, and I've called this one Hack the Weather. And we're going to be building on the project I worked on yesterday, Major League Banking. But if you didn't attend yesterday, that's totally fine. I will give you all the code you need to get up and running. This challenge is for Local Hack Day Share 2021. I hope you are excited. I am certainly excited. It's going to be a good one. And if you've not seen me before on stream, you're going to see me glancing around a lot. I've got, as I explained yesterday, I've got 3 monitors that I'm using on this computer and 2 more laptops to my side as well. So it's a little bit crazy here. You will have to bear with me as I'm glancing around. Now, here's a prime example of me looking off the left as I set up my screen share. Beautiful. So I am Robbie Jakob Whitworth from Major League Hacking. I'm a European coach, been here for more than 2 years now. My proper day job is that I'm a graduate consultant with AWS Professional Services. So when companies want to get set up using AWS, I help them out with that. But today I'm wearing my Major League Hacking virtual hat, as it were. You're doing some MLH stuff and building out how to use a weather API. Great question. Is there a way we can see a recording of the session later? Absolutely. Twitch records these sessions. I think it's for 60 days. They stick around, and they're on YouTube as well because we broadcast live onto Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook at the same time. Amazing technology right there. Now, before we kick off, I need a sip of my water. So refreshing. Not quite as good as Tesco Ashbeck, but Highland Spring is possible, I think. Okay, today we're going to be building a weather API, or rather using a weather API. I found this one called Open Weather on Open Weather Map. Literally the top result when you Google weather API. And the good news is if you go to their pricing page, they've got a free plan, which presumably doesn't need any credit card details or anything. Actually, I found that if you're a student, you can scroll all the way to the bottom. And there's free stuff for students as well, apparently. But I don't need that. I literally just need something that's going to give me the weather results. Now, before we jump into code, we've got to check in. That's super important for you and super important for us so that we can keep track of who's attending which sessions and how we know which ones you enjoy. The check-in thing, I don't think I've put it on screen yet. Please forgive me. Is there, scrolling across the bottom, hackpack/hack with Robbie, and I managed to minimize Firefox, which is actually quite impressive. Got too many windows here. Why is this so confusing? This one? Okay. So we're going to head to hackpack/hack with Robbie. Hack with Robbie. And for those of you who are too lazy to type, I'm going to put it in the chat as well, because there's always one person. Okay, there, posted the link to check in. So you get to this page, it's going to say register and check in. Click on that. If you do not have a My MLH account, it will invite you to register for one. And you need to make sure it says you are checked in. Make sure you're not just registered, you need to register and check in. Checking in is how we know that you're actually here and not just interested in this session. So we are checked in, which is good. I guess our next step is to go to, well, let me show you what we built yesterday, right? I built this web app called Major League Banking. MLH branching out into the financial industry, apparently, with just some bank. It's got a bank statement on the back end, and it's just, literally just listing those transactions here. Now, I'm thinking this is a good starting point for our weather application, because instead of transactions, we can have like each day here, and then the upcoming forecast, and we can grab that from this Open Weather Map API. And now I've got to figure out how we're going to actually do that. If you've not been to some of my sessions before, some of them, particularly this one and yesterday's one, we kind of make it up as we go along, because that's the best way for you to see how I learn and how I think when I'm actually writing code. It's one thing coming to a prepared workshop, but the nice thing about these streams is that, I literally am just winging it. So if I get stuck on something, please feel free to help and contribute to the chat as well. Now, I published Major League Banking on Vercel yesterday because it's a JavaScript app built with Next.js, which is what we're going to be using today as well, because I love Next.js. It's a really easy framework to get started with, reduces a lot of the overhead for you. What's coming through here in the chat? People promoting their clubs and things like that. Are there slides for this lab? So like I just said, this is kind of an ad hoc, making this up as we go along, so there are not slides. But what I will do is, firstly, the recording for this session is on Twitch and YouTube. And then I'm also going to be putting it all on GitHub as well. So you can actually check the source code. Okay, now I'm going to show you folks about a cool little GitHub feature that you may not be aware of. Let's fire up GitHub. And here is my repository, Major League Banking. This is what we built yesterday. Now, when you've got your own repository on GitHub, you can't fork it. This is a limitation of GitHub. You can't fork it into your own account. And in fact, if I click on this fork button, it's going to say, where should we fork Major League Banking? And it's giving me the options of all the organizations I'm part of, but I can't actually fork into my own account because it's already here. Do we have to watch the banking video? You do not. It's kind of, I'm going to give you this code and we'll just build it up from there. You don't need to have been to their previous session. So instead of forking into our own account, we're actually going to, let's just copy the URL for this one. And we'll click on the plus. And instead of going to new repository, GitHub has this awesome feature called import repository. So we'll paste that one in. And it's inviting us to come up with a new repository name. Now, this is basically going to copy the repository for us. And the GitHub importer is an incredibly powerful tool because you can also use it to import private repositories, assuming you have access to them, of course, because you can't fork a private repository, but you can kind of copy it using a GitHub importer. So we're going to import Major League Banking and basically just duplicate this repository and then work on it from there and turn it all into a weather app. Now, instead of Major League Banking, we're not talking about banks, we're talking about weather and weather forecasts. So I think the obvious name here is going to be Major League Forecasting, and that is MLH going into the weather forecasting industry. So I've put in the name, I'm public, I'm hitting begin import. And this isn't something that you need to do. This is just me doing it because I've already got Major League Banking. Once I've got this new repository set up, I will share the link for it so you can follow along. So it's just copying our repository here. Perfect. Complete. And here it is. And this looks exactly the same as Major League Banking. The first thing to do is let's just update this README quickly. Say Major League Forecasting, get rid of this link where it's hosted, and say example weather app created for MLH Local Hack Day Share 2021. Preview changes, change title in README to Major League Forecasting. We'll commit that onto main, totally fine. Okay. Good progress. I guess we can also clone this one locally. So I'm using SSH to clone. So I'll click on copy, and I'm in my dev folder. So I'll just do git clone, paste that one in, cloned into Major League Forecasting. Perfect. So I cd into Major League Forecasting, do an ls. This is what I need. I guess the first thing to do now that we've got this checked out locally is to get the project up and running. So I'm going to switch over to WebStorm, my favorite IDE for this kind of stuff. You can, of course, use VS Code or stuff like that. WebStorm, and indeed the whole JetBrains suite, is free if you're a student and you've got the GitHub Student Developer Pack. So that's how I've got it. My license hasn't expired yet, so I'm going to keep on using it. Major League Forecasting, here we go. Open this one up. We'll just close that README. Actually, we'll reopen the README. Quick start, npm install followed by npm run dev. Sounds pretty simple. So let's just get this up and running locally so we can actually see how to work with this. So we'll go npm install. And then npm run dev. Okay, so this is using the Next.js JavaScript framework, which is really great because, like I said, it just removes a lot of the overhead of setting up React and tooling and a build process and this kind of stuff. And then I can go, it's giving me the URL here for localhost 3000. If I open this up, here is our banking application. Now, I was actually using it with Firefox's DevTools. There's a feature here for responsive design mode. So if I open my DevTools and I click on this icon, I can now choose if I make this a bit bigger, I can choose a device. So I'm going to emulate an iPhone 10, and that just sets a couple of things like the resolution, the DPR, which is device pixel ratio, I think, stuff like that. So it's kind of emulating a mobile web app. So let's close that, and wow, I need a second terminal here. Let's go like that. And I'm going to make one quick change here, just change the title. And then when that's done, I will commit, push, and put the GitHub repository link publicly. So if I head to, where is this title set? Major League Banking. I think it's on pages index.js. And you can see there's a bunch of stuff here where it's reading our transactions file. We're going to kill all of that because we're not doing transactions. We're just doing weather instead. So we'll change the title. That's our tab title. We'll change here in the header, when this one reloads, Major League Forecasting. Beautiful. So this is a good chance for us to do a git status. If we do a git diff, the only change we've made is to the title for the tab title and this header. So we'll go git add dot git commit -m, change app name to Major League Forecasting, git push. And now that that is pushed, I am going to happily share the GitHub repository link with you. I think I actually set up a, let me just grab the link for it. I'm just setting up a short URL for you. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to paste this one here. We've got hackpack/Major League Forecasting. So if you head to this URL, and I've just posted that in the chat as well, it will take you to this GitHub repository so you can clone it locally and you can follow along with all the changes that I'm making. Cool, cool. Now we've got to figure out what to do next. Well, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to try not to do too much styling and things, but this font, it was fun yesterday, but it's so the font is so Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. I'm not feeling this font. I need something a bit better. Let's go to Google Fonts, and I just want something that's heavy, So if we browse Google Fonts, we'll find, firstly, let's pick something that is, I think, sans serif or display is the way to go. And font properties, we'll make sure they're nice and thick as well, because I want a thick font. Okay, Montserrat is a strong contender, work sans. We're doing a weather forecasting app. I think this is the one we're currently using, Luckiest Guy. Let's go for... I can spend all day looking at these. Let's pick Bevan. I like the look of this one. Okay, that's the regular is really thick apparently. So we'll hit select this style. We'll grab the link for it, and I'm just going to grab that second one because I've already got the top one. I can put that one here. I can replace Luckiest Guy, and this is the rule that I'm going to need. So if I scroll down in my code to is it the header? Where do we set that font? This is actually a great question. Where do we set that font? Oh, here. Okay. Certainly this doesn't actually belong here. So let's get rid of that font family and we'll just put it in the header instead. If I save that, and I come back to my application, failed to compile. Beautiful. What have we done wrong here? Oh, right. Okay. So when we pasted this link tag, we actually need to make it a self-closing tag because we're using JSX. Major League Forecasting. This is starting to make some good progress. But I think, is there something here with the height that's changed? I remember having a lot of problem yesterday with the height of this, so I just want to make sure we've not actually not busted that somehow. Does the header have a fixed height? Maybe it doesn't. I think for now we're probably good. Like if I decrease this font size, yeah. Okay, let's leave that on 40 pixels for now. But Major League Forecasting, and again, this is probably another opportunity just to do a nice commit. So Git diff is showing that all we've changed is we're now importing Bevan instead of this Luckiest Guy font. We set that font family to Bevan on the header and got rid of the body one because the body's using Roboto. So let's do a git add dot git commit -m update header font, and I'll do a git push. And now that I've done a git push, that is up to date here on GitHub. Just give that a cheeky refresh. You can see update header font is now here, so you can follow along. And now we need to do some weather stuff. Before we jump into the API things, I'm actually going to kind of remove a lot of the transaction stuff that's currently there. I think that's the way to do it. So if I just have a look in the project, there's this stuff here with get static props. Now Next.js has this function get static props, and actually let's just look at the documentation for that. Next.js, because of how it works with your kind of data fetching, you've got 3 different ways of doing it. Let's zoom in a little bit more for you. So you've got get static props, which is fetching data at build time. So this is like a one-off. As the website is built, then it's a static site, so it just does it then. Or we can do this one, get static paths, which is specifying dynamic routes to pre-render pages based on data. Or we can do get server-side props, which is fetching data on each request. So in our case, we're just using get static props because our transactions is just like a CSV file stored in the repo. So it's just happening once. We don't need to kind of re-render it, rebuild it every time we fetch the web page because we know it's going to be the same. But in our case, because we're going to be connecting to an API, we essentially want it to fetch the data on each request. And if I go to the documentation for this, it says here, somewhere it says, Scroll down, scroll down. Okay, fetching from an external API is fine. Here's a simple example which uses get server-side props to fetch data at request time and pre-renders it. So this is basically exactly what we want to do, right? Got get server-side props, and we go to fetch data from external API. So we're just going to do a fetch on the API route given to us by the weather app. And then once we've got that data, we'll pass that through to our page and do something with it to display it nicely. Yes, exactly. The repo link is there. It's also the banner currently on screen. Hackpack/Major League Forecasting will redirect you to the GitHub repository as well. Okay, so let's rip out all of the transaction stuff. We can actually get rid of, I think, all of this block because we're not using static props. We're using server-side props. We can then get rid of these three because we're not doing any file system stuff. Papa_parse is a CSV parser, so we don't need that. We can also get rid of this entire data directory. So delete the data directory. And then the command to remove that papa_parse library, I think it's just npm uninstall papa_parse. Let's give it a go. Nice. So if I could get status, where that's probably cut off for you. There we go. If I do a git status, I'm going to see that this file has been deleted, modify the package lock and package.json and the index.js file. So a quick git diff will show us, here's a package lock file change. Here's us removing a bunch of stuff from the top of the index.js. And here's a change to package.json. Perfect. So let's do a git add dot. Just to check that's all added. Git commit -m. Well, before we commit it, we should check that the page still loads, to be honest. So we'll do a cheeky reload. Nice, we broke it already. Now you should never commit code that is straight up broken like this. Every commit of your application should be something that kind of at least compiles, at least builds. So before we commit, I'm actually going to backspace all of this and just figure out what the problem is here. So it's saying transactions.map doesn't work because, well, we got rid of the transactions. So transactions and raw file contents, we can actually get rid of this as well. The props that are no longer being passed in, get rid of the console log. I think for now, we could comment it or we could delete it. Let's just delete all of that for now. Leave that empty. So if I come back now and I reload, this is what I expect to see. I've got still the header here, and if I actually dig deep into what's displaying, we've got the transactions div, but it's not got anything in it because there are no transactions. So this is probably a better thing to commit. So we'll make sure we add that as well. Now that this web page is loading, we'll do a git commit -m remove transactions data and the logic. I'll do a git push. Instead, we need to communicate with our weather API. And I think I'm going to go ahead and actually get that API key and start getting that data from the API before writing out the code to process it. So I'm going to head to this pricing page of Open Weather Map. And you and me are both going to figure out how to do this now because I've not even registered an account for this service. I'm just assuming that it's going to work. And I will stick the link for this one as well in the chat, just in case you want it. So I've just posted that on the Twitch chat and YouTube chat and Facebook chat. I'm going to click on Get API Key for the free plan. Username will go with Rob's Wolf. That's my username everywhere. Email, I'm going to use my burner one. Password, I'm going to use one password to generate a password here. Okay. Oh yeah, Sunderby is a great point. Another free weather API for the UK is the Met Office data point. That is a good one. If this one doesn't work, we'll probably switch to that one. Let's see, what have we got here? I am 16 or over. I agree with the privacy policy. I do not want emails about stuff. And I promise I'm not a robot. Mountains or hills? I swear these get harder and harder. How and where will you use our API? Companies, Major League Hacking. Purpose. Ooh, I would say probably education. Or, no, there we go, a weather widget for the web. That's what we're actually doing. So I hit save. And now I need to go to get an API key. Here is my key. Perfect. Now I kindly request that you set up your own one rather than using my one. Like I say, it's free, so it doesn't really matter, but it'd still be good to get your own API key. Let me set that one to basically a password. My username is robbieburner800@gmail.com. I'll move it into my MLH vault. One password, absolutely beautiful password manager. I am a huge fan. Nice. So I've got my API key and I've got an account. So I guess now I need to figure out how to actually get the data from it. Current weather data. So we certainly want information about the current weather, I think. But we also want information about upcoming weather, like a weather forecast, maybe for the next, they're saying 4 days is an option. I would say, 7 days or something. I don't need historical because that's when, old weather data. We don't need that. What's this one call API? Make one API call, get current forecast and historical data. That's good. And if I just want the current, the hourly forecast is only for these paid accounts. I think let's go for this one call one because it's available for the free subscription. Comes back in a JSON format. It's got daily forecast for 7 days. Perfect. And it has the current weather as well. So I guess API doc. Okay, current or forecast weather data. Brilliant. So we've got an API route. This is the important bit. Now I'm going to use an application called Postman. I don't know if you've come across Postman before. It's a free application and it's really good for testing API calls and things like that. So whether you're building your own API or whether you're trying to connect to another API like we are at the minute, Postman is a really great application just because it gives you a very nice interface to work with to make these API calls. So I've got here a new, is that big enough on the stream? I zoom in a bit, is that better? An update, we'll worry about that later. I think that's about as small as I can make it. That's okay. So I'll just grab this request URL and copy this, paste it in here, and I presume we're doing a GET request. And you see why Postman is nice, because it grabs these parameters from the URL and actually lets us process them and manage them in a bit more of a bit of a nicer one. So I'm going to grab that API key, put that one here. And again, you can do cool stuff with Postman, like you might set this as a variable, so because it's essentially a secret. In my case, I don't mind because I'm using it on like a burner account and it's free. But if you're using this for a production environment, you're an actual developer doing this for a job, you'd probably want to do some stuff with Postman to keep this private. Now, lat and long, I could probably figure out what they are. Latitude and longitude, kind of the coordinates of the location whose weather forecast I want to request. But I'm not sure what this exclude thing is, so I'll have to look at that. So lat and long required. App ID is the API key, so we put that in. Exclude is optional, so you can exclude some parts of the weather data. We don't need to bother with exclude, I think. We'll just collect everything. So just get rid of that one. Lat and long. So here's a question. Which location do we want to get the weather forecast for? I've got a few options in mind. We could do the MLH office in New York. Or we could do... I don't really want to do my home, but I think I know what we can do. We can do Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace, if you're not familiar with it, is the palace in the UK where the Queen lives here in London. So we just need to get the latitude and longitude for that. Someone's saying there's a sound issue. Is my microphone still working? I presume it is. Someone said, how about the White House? So if my mic stops working, do let me know and I'll just, poke it and hope for the best. Let's go ahead and do Buckingham Palace. Now, I need to figure out how to get the coordinates of this. Also, look at this postcode, SW1A, 1AA. I mean, that's such a flex, right? You're the queen, you're like, oh, I'm just going to make the postcode this super cool thing that no one else can have. Let's grab it on Google Maps. I think we can get those coordinates from Google Maps, to be honest. It's really not far from where I live. I live around here somewhere. This is pretty close. Let's just... It's got the coordinates somewhere. Plus code. Just want the reviews of Buckingham Palace. Poor location, no views, more rooms and impolite staff. That's incredible. That's the address. Oh, I think we can on Google Maps you can right click. Here it is. Right, latitude and longitude. So it's these weird looking coordinates. Let's paste that in here. And this one, of course, I need to make sure I get these the right way around, latitude and longitude. Let's just go for it and assume it's here. That one's the latitude, that's the longitude. And click on, I think we're good now. We've got a latitude, got a longitude, got our app ID, which is our API key. So let's just click send and see what we get back. Nice, so it's returned to us this big JSON object. The time zone is Europe, London, so I'm going to presume, that this is this has brought back, I put these in the right way around, the latitude and longitude. Time zone offset, I don't know what this is. I presume there's some documentation in here somewhere. Yeah, so what have we got? Time zone offset is the shift in seconds from UTC. Oh, interesting. Yep, the UK is currently 3,600 seconds or 1 hour ahead of UTC, also the same as GMT, because we're now in British summer time. Current, there's some stuff here. I presume these are timestamps when sunrise and sunset is going to happen. Temperature is 290. Somehow I feel like this is neither Celsius nor Fahrenheit. I'd probably Kelvin, actually. Yeah, there we go. Units, default Kelvin. How to change units used. Can we do that easily? Oh, nice. We can just add that as another one. I mean, it's very easy to convert between units. But let's just put units equals metric. We could put that here as another parameter. Units, metric, send. Now, yeah, that sounds a bit more right. It's currently 17 degrees Celsius. Feels like 16. Look at the pressure. I mean, there's a bunch of good data here, right? Minutely. This is presumably the minute. You know what? I'm starting to see why they recommend you use the exclude parameter. I mean, look how long this this JSON response is. We're looking at 1,600 lines. It's like snow. What? Is it going to snow in London? That can't be right. What is this array we're looking at? I feel like this is a... That's pretty... Raw is just that. Preview is no good. Visualize also no good. Huh. I've got to stop clicking that. That is annoying. Okay, well, let's think about what we want here. We want the current weather, because it'd be awesome to display the current weather somewhere on our application. And also, it would be great to get the 7-day forecast as well. What are we saying here? If it's 0 degrees Kelvin, either that's been measured in the lab or there's been a problem. Yeah, I mean, you can't actually get anything down to 0 degrees Kelvin. It's quite an interesting scientific thing, right? Because 0 degrees Kelvin, absolute zero, is like the coldest it can possibly get. At that point, there is no kinetic energy in those particles. And so you can't have anything colder because then you'd have like negative energy. It doesn't make any sense. Exactly. Minus 270, not Kelvin, minus 273.15 Kelvin at Celsius, I think. I have no idea what it is in Fahrenheit, and frankly, I don't care. Fahrenheit is not a good system. Okay, so what are we excluding from this? Because I don't want to get all this data back. It's almost overkill. I want current, and I don't want hourly. Wait, is that it? Current and hourly. What did it say earlier about exclude? Oh, hang on, here's daily. This is what I'm expecting to see. So this is the API call We don't want hourly. We do want daily. And we don't want minutely. All right, let's just try it. Exclude hourly, minutely. Send that. So we're getting back current weather and the daily forecast, presumably for the next 7 days. That's it. 300 lines. That seems a bit more sensible, right? Okay, so now we've got our API route. We need to actually do something with this in JavaScript. So we're going to use the fetch function in JavaScript. We need to wrap that in the, what did it say it was? It was the server side props. Export async function, get server side props. Let's put that here. Okay. And then I'm just going to grab this whole URL as it currently is and temporarily put it in here just like that for reference. And then we're going to use the fetch API. And we can actually copy their example almost word for word, right? Fetch data from external API, wait for the response, do something with it. So we copy that through and paste it in. Fetch. Now we could dump this all in as one long string, but JavaScript has some pretty powerful tools for doing URL manipulation. I just can't remember exactly what they are. It's like JavaScript URL query params, is it something like that? URL search params. Like we want to basically make a URL and then set those parameters on it, and it will do all the encoding things for us. Okay, this is something like how we do it. Var URL equals new URL. We'll put the base on it. Then we put the search parameters on it. So URL.search is going to give us those search parameters. All right, let's give this a go. Say, do a const base URL equals https://api.openweathermap.org/data/2.5/1 Okay. And then we'll do const search params equals base URL.search. Oh, I need to actually put a new URL here, otherwise it is working with a string. Base URL.search. And then essentially want to add each of these parameters. So it's going to be, so search params.has will check if it is defined. .get will get the value of it. So presumably .set will set the parameters, which is exactly what we want to do. So we'll do search params.set. Well, I was going to say like, lat and then this number, but I think I'm going to do it slightly more interesting than that. I'm going to say const API options equals an object. And here we'll go. Latitude is, okay, I'm going to copy paste this. Latitude is this number. Longitude is this number. Okay. And then we've got app ID is the API key. Now this is something that, we'll just put it here for now. Fine. API key. And then we've got units metric. Put some quotes around this. What was the last one? Exclude. Exclude. With the comma. So we've now got an object. I need to take these options and put them into the search. Now we can use the .set method, but I just wonder if there's like a function where I could just give it an object, perhaps. But I don't think there's a way to do that. So what set? Yeah, that's the only way we can do it. Or append. Okay. So now we've got our options, we've got our search parameters object. So let's go search param dot, or rather, sorry, we'll go for. Let's go API options dot for each. What's the syntax for each key value JavaScript? There's a million different ways of doing for loops and for const key value of object.entries. Is there not a nicer way of doing that? Didn't I see a for loop somewhere? Let p of search params. For what is p? JavaScript for of. So iterates over iterable objects, but I don't just want to loop over the element. I also want to loop over the key. Maybe you can't do that with for of. Typed array map. Ooh. Oh, here we go. For const. So we do it as an array. Key value of iterable. Iterable in our case is going to be. Well, this is a map and this is a set. Can we do this with an object? Yeah, let's try it. What's the worst that can happen? So instead of that, we'll say for key value of API options. I think I need a const here as well. Okay. And then here we're going to say search params.set key to value. Cool. Is there a check-in link? Yes, it is currently scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So just down here a little bit, you'll see that yellow bar at the bottom. It says check-in at hackpack/hackwithrobbie. Okay, so that's our set. And then before we actually get into the fetch stuff, let's comment these out. And we'll just return for now an empty object for the props. We'll just do a console.log on base URL to see how that prints out in the terminal. So let's minimize Postman for now and see what the output is. Apparently nothing. So if I go back to the page, reload. Oh gosh. API options is not iterable. Well, we tried. I think we're going to have to do this object.entries thing, which is how they're doing it here. So entries, API options, come back and then this one, reload. Search params.set is not a function. That is an interesting one. I thought that would give us the new URL search params. MDN URL. I just want the URL object. And I want to get the search params object for it. Search is a string. So instead, I think we need to go search params equals new URL search params. And then somehow I need to set that on the object. Create object URL returns a DOM string containing a. No, that's not what I need. Maybe once we've got the URL search params, we can. I don't even want get all. I want it to string, and then just combine them. There might be a better way to do this, but for now, I think this is possible. What's the issue here? Fine. So we're doing base URL, and then we'll do search params. Let's do get all, first of all, just to see how this outputs in the terminal. The name argument must be specified. And let's just do it to string. Can't get much simpler than that. Still the same issue. So that's save. There we go. Okay, and here it is. Here is our string. Yeah, so we can just take that and whack that on the end of the URL, and we should be good. So we don't even need to do this as a new URL. I think we're overcomplicating it here. Save that. Base URL and search params, and then const API root equals Let's do some template strings. So we'll go base URL followed by search params.toString. And then we'll do a console log on the API route. Reload. Here is that full route now. Although what is going on here? I need to put a question mark on the end. Boop. Reloading again. There it is. So this route, I should be able to control. If I open this in the browser, actually, yeah, Firefox can see the JSON. So our route definitely works. Now what we need to do is do a fetch on it. And what is this actually complaining about? Something about strings, wasn't it? The argument type string number is not assignable to parameter type string. Oh, I bet this can only take string. So it's just because we've actually put these as numbers. Set that to string. Now, if you're building this yourself, do feel free to do this properly and actually use the you can use the GPS or the user location, get the user's location from the browser and display their weather. I'm not doing that because I'd have to spoof my location, which is a hassle. So, okay, so we're doing this, and now we need to actually do the fetch. So uncomment those. So const res equals a wait fetch. The route API route. Data equals a wait res.json, and then just return data. I have no idea how we're actually going to be able to see this data. But let's just put like data here and see what we get back. And then console log. I'm going to try console logging the data and see what that does. So now I'm going to reload. Actually worked. Nice. So it did the. So our console log. So we had the flow is it calls this function before it calls home, right? So we set up our URL, we set up our API options, and then we're calling it with fetch. Once we get the response as JSON, we pass that through that data as props to this React home component, and then we do a console log of that data. So we did a console log on the route and then a console log of the data, which gives us, here's the route, then here is the data, and we can tell it's a JSON object because it's actually come back and it's formatted nicely in the terminal, which is really excellent to see. I think this is a good place for us to. You can also see that showing up on the front end here, which is brilliant. I think it's a good place for us to do a commit. So let's do a git status. Okay, that's the only modified file. And if I do a git diff, we've now added this server-side props function to the top and added that. Nice. Let's do a git add dot git commit dash m fetch data from weather API. Perfect. Let me clean up some of my tabs here as well. So that can go, 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 that can go. That's where we're at. This is my GitHub repository, which is now up to. Did I push it? Ooh, git push. Sorry if you're following along. It's now should now be pushed. Perfect. And if I go to that's my personal website, get rid of that. We'll keep that open. Close that and close that. Oh, it's so much better. It's so much cleaner. Okay, so now let's do something with that data. So you can see that data is actually coming through here. Just doing a console log here in the terminal and also here in the browser console. So we're getting the current weather, but what I really care about is daily, right? Because I want to get the next 7 days forecast. So if we open up this object and just see what the format is that we're dealing with, there's 0, which is presumably today. There's some stuff going on here, sunrise and sunset. Let's actually have a look at the documentation about daily. Current, hourly, daily, daily forecast. So we've got DT, is time of the forecasted data. So that's how we know when this is referring to. So DT, now this is a Unix timestamp. How do I do something with it? Can we just go new date? That? Maybe not, because that's showing the January the 19th, 1970. JavaScript date from Unix timestamp. Oh, geez, this does not look good. Hold on a minute. Just multiply it by 1,000. Ah, so this is a timestamp in seconds, but JavaScript needs it in milliseconds. So if you're not familiar with Unix timestamps, the way times are kind of represented on computers is the easiest way to do it is with a number like this. And this number counts the number of seconds since Thursday, the 1st of January, 1970. At apparently 1 o'clock in the morning. That's my time anyway. So it's 000 would be UTC time. And then there's just kind of everywhere. It's just a ticker going up 1 second, 1 second. This number increases. So this is the number of seconds from this initial timestamp. So if you ever see like the 1st of January 1970 in a database or something, there's a decent chance that something's gone wrong with your date formatting or whatever, because that's basically a date of 0. It's the beginning of time. And we're actually running out of these dates, so we can only count up to Unix epoch end, something like that. Here we go, the year 2038 problem. So the issue we have is that time on many digital systems is represented as the number of seconds passed since 000 UTC on the 1st of January 1970, and storing it as a signed, so that means it has a plus or a minus at the beginning, 32-bit integer. If you're using this implementation, we're going to run out of seconds after 3 in the morning on the 19th of January in the year 2038. So, we need to stop using 32-bit integers to represent time and use 64-bit or something like that. Exactly. A couple of you in the chat know about this. The epoch, this is when we hit the 32-bit integer limit. Switch to 64-bit. Problem solved. And the good news is we don't need to worry about that for this live stream. I think what I was doing wrong here is that this counts in seconds, but new date, if you pass a number into it, is going to actually expect milliseconds. So if I put a number in times by 1,000, this makes a lot more sense. So this is coming up with Wednesday, the 31st of March. That's today at 1 p.m. British Summer Time, which I imagine is going to be 12 p.m., like 12 noon. Okay. So we can use that number on DT to work out which day this is referring to. So DT is clearly referring to today, this first element. This is going to be tomorrow, this is the next day, and so on and so on. So we can kind of loop through these and just display each of them as a row on here. Nice. Let's do that. So instead of data, we'll actually give this some more sensible names. So we'll call it weather. We'll go here, weather. Let's actually leave the console login for now. It might be useful. Well, then where are we? It's here that we're processing it. So instead of transactions, let's leave it with the name transactions for now and clean that up in a bit. We essentially want to loop through, what is the object? This daily object. So it's just .daily, which is an array, and then map each of those into a React component. So let's start by writing that. We'll go weather.daily.map, and we'll just call it it's a forecast, right? To some kind of React component that's going to go here, which I haven't defined yet. So I think we need to set up our React component. So instead of a transaction, I'm going to reuse this and call this a forecast component. And what are we going to want to display on our forecast? I'm thinking, actually, let's see what we get back. Temperature definitely seems like an obvious one. So the day temperature, we'll just keep it like that for now. I think we can include the actual weather, so like sunny or something. Here we go, main clouds or overcast clouds or whatever. We definitely want to include the day as well, I think. So we'll include that timestamp. So in terms of layout, you're probably going to have the day, and then a temperature, and maybe a little icon for the weather forecast. Or rather, you could have the top left, you'll have a You know what? I'm going to grab like, what's a good drawing app? JS Paint. That's one, isn't it? We're going to do some rough and ready diagrams here. We'll draw. This is our entry. And then I'm thinking we'll have here can be like Monday. This is such a throwback. When's the last time you used Paint, you know? Monday, and then underneath it we'll have the temperature. We can even go something like min 18, max 24. And then on the right, we'll have our lovely, we'll have a sun. Let's get yellow and go like that. Beautiful. And then we'll paint some rays coming off it. This is so inspiring. Like, I should have gone into a career in art. All right, so this is what I'm thinking for our layout. Essentially, if you think about this as a grid, we've got, it's going to be, oh man, I do not want that in yellow. Let me go back to black. We're going to have this. This is our grid layout. So in the top left, we've got the day as a word. On the bottom left, we've got min and max temperature. And then on the right, spanning 2 rows, we've got the icon. So there's a few bits to tackle there, but the good news is this is basically the same layout as what we already had for Major League Banking. If we load that one up, you'll see we've got something in the top left, something in the bottom left, and then this thing spanning 2 rows. So we don't even need to change our grid much. We just need to clean up the wording a bit. So what are we actually including here? We need the day of the week, which is going to be, let's just say day. Then here we're going to need both min and max temperature. So I'll say min temp, and we'll also include max temp as a prop. And then on the right, we'll go, let's just say weather. Okay. Oh, we haven't finished that bit yet. And then instead of all of this stuff, firstly, let's just keep that as transaction and bin off that extra bit. Really just keep this nice and simple. And then instead of merchant, we're going to say day, which is going to be the day. And then the class name for the bottom left is temp. So we can actually word this. We can say min, and then space followed by min temp, and then maybe a vertical pipe or something, and then we'll say max followed by max temp. And again, it's just, you know, rough and ready. We'll be with the formatting in a bit. And instead of amount, we'll say weather. And for now, we'll just say the weather as a word. And it would definitely be nice to do that as a an icon or something in a bit. And then day, temp, and weather. So just going to update my grid definition a bit. So we're having day in the top left, weather there, and then temp, and then weather. And just change here. So the merchant became day. Date has become the temp. And the amount has become the weather. Nice. And like I say, don't stress too much about all this stuff. Like, that code will be on GitHub. We're using CSS Grid, which is a really powerful way of laying out elements on a page in kind of a grid format. So that's why I was breaking it down into a grid here, because I can say this is like this is the first row, right? This bit here. So I put this here, and then this cell is going to span 2 rows. Think of it like a spreadsheet or something, or a table in Microsoft Word, and you're merging cells. It's a very, very powerful way of doing that. Let's close some of these tabs. Then I think we just need to fix our, where is it? Here. So for each daily forecast, we're mapping that forecast to a, let's do a forecast object. Then what are the props we need to pass in? Let's say day is the first one. Day is actually slightly tricky because we're just going to get this timestamp, so aren't we? It's DT, so we need to do something with it. I think we can go new date times 1,000, right? So that gives us it as a JavaScript object. And then is it just get day? Something like that? 3? That's not what I wanted to see. We're close. Full day. We're going to have to look up the date object on MDN and hope that can actually return the word. Otherwise, you need a date formatting library. Parse, get day returns the day of the week. Get seconds, get time. UTC date, UTC day. I don't think there's going to be a day of the week option. There's to date string, which is close, but not close enough. Okay, we're going to have to cave. Let's just quickly write a really simple function at the top. Function get day number. Then we'll say const days equals, and we could do it as a map or an array. Doesn't really matter. Let's say an array. So I'm just going to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Isn't that a song? Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something. That is the only time you'll ever hear me sing on stream. Sunday, and then we'll just do a return days of day number, because day number conveniently is numbered 0 to 6, which is the same as the indices for this. So we've got the get day, and the way we can then handle that in here is day equals, we'll do a new date of the forecast dot dt times 1,000 dot get a day. So what this should do is forecast refers to, for an example, it refers to like this object, right? Because we're looping through this array, every element in it. And then dt is the timestamp of that day in seconds. So we need to convert it to milliseconds for the new date function, and then get the day from it, and then wrap that in. We need to wrap it in our function, which was get day. That's not a good name. Convert num day number to word. Never hurts to be too explicit. That looks better. So we're passing our day in. We also need to pass in the min and max temp, I think. Yeah, so we'll say min temp equals, how does that come through? Let's look at our documentation. Daily.temp.min. Okay. So the daily object is this forecast. So we go forecast.temp.min. Max temp is presumably forecast.temp.max without even having to look at the documentation. And then we've got weather. So weather is a slightly trickier one. What I would like weather to do later down the line is show an icon for that particular type of weather. But I think for now, just the word sunny or something would suffice just to prove that we can get this working. So if we look at how that weather is defined, we've got weather main. And then I think that actually might be what we want. The description is going to be the full list of stuff, which is, yeah, all of this stuff, which is great, but too detailed. So let's just go with weather.main. So weather equals forecast.weather.main. Okay, so we're passing these props through to our forecast component. We're formatting the day into hopefully Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. Minimum temperature and maximum temperature we're grabbing for the day, and weather is going to be the word sunny, windy, something like that. Brilliant. In a bit, I'll go through and change the word transaction as well. But for now, let's just see if this is actually going to work on our application. That's pretty good. That's 3 out of 4. So we've got the day. I'm not sure this is the right day because we're saying Friday. But we'll cross that in a minute. Saturday, Sunday, we've got some temperatures. These look like these temperatures could be right. They're very precise. I think we can get some formatting on that, remove some of the precision. But I don't know where the weather word is. We'll look at that in just a second. Let's grab this inspector tool and see what's going on. So here's our weather. It's coming up empty. Weather, which we said is coming from forecast.weather.main. And if we actually go into our console and look at what this object looks like, in our daily for any of these, let's say 2, weather. Oh, weather's an array. That's interesting. Why is it an array? Daily.weather. Oh, I guess you can have multiple types of weather in a day, right? Could be sunny and then windy later on. Are there any of these that have got multiple weathers? Clear, it's very, very boring data. Snow. Snow? What? There's no way it's going to snow. When is that? New date, that times 1,000. This is how true programmers get the weather. Monday, April the 5th. It's going to snow? That can't be right. Did we put in the right latitude and longitude? Where are we requesting it from? Latitude and longitude. I mean, these are Buckingham Palace, aren't they? Hey, look, maybe it is going to snow. Let's open a new tab and search for it. Google's like, what do you want me to do with this? Lat and longitude, can you handle this? Oh, wow, that's disappointing. It's giving me a calculator. Let's just go back to Google Maps and paste this in. Okay, that's definitely Buckingham Palace. And we got it the right way round. So I'm just going to look at like Met Office weather. I'm completely off track, but I'm just baffled that it's going to be snowy in London. Just because it's really sunny at the minute. Look, it's 22 degrees. And then you're telling me that on the 6th it's going to snow? I'm skeptical. Where was that data? Oh, sorry, Monday the 5th. There's a 30% chance of rain in the evening. I mean, it's pretty cold. 3 degrees. God. And rain overnight. Cold conditions to take over. Hold on. Is this in the news? Is it going to snow? Wintry conditions from Sunday. Bringing snow showers and freezing overnight temperatures. This is madness. It's going to snow. I'm excited for that. I do love the snow. Anyway, let's get back to some code. I can fangirl about the snow later on. What were we trying to do? Okay, so we're trying to figure out why the weather was not showing up. And it's because weather is apparently an array. But I don't find any examples of where there's multiple objects in the array, the weather array. Does it even say in the documentation that it's an array? Daily.weather. Doesn't say anything, does it? Well, let's just be a little bit bold and just grab the 0th element there and see how that comes through on our site. Clouds, clear, snow. Oh, man. Okay, let's figure out why this day is wrong, because it's clearly not Friday. Probably something's wrong with our function. So this is the first one, dt. So if I do a new date on that, that is today, as we agreed. So why does that say Friday? Let's walk through our function step by step. So we said new date of forecast.dt times 1,000, which is what we've got here. Dot get day. So if I call a dot get day, I get 3. Okay, and then I'm doing convert day number to word. So the third element, I'm such a numpty. First of all, we missed out Thursday completely from this, and no one called me out on it. So clearly, you need to pay more attention. And secondly, we're doing it counting. It counts 0 to 6, right? That's what the date element says. Get day 0 to 6, and I'm pretty certain 0 in this case is going to be Sunday. So let's move this one up to here. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We come back. This makes more sense. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh man, I still can't get over the fact it's apparently going to snow. It's just bizarre. I think this is probably a good place to do a commit now that we've got it working, and then we'll clean it up in some future commits. So we've got the correct day showing, we've got the clouds or the weather showing. I'm just going to straight up assume these temperatures are correct, like a max of 21 today sounds about right. It's currently 17 according to my Apple Watch. And it was a nice, comfortable temperature when I went outside. I actually wore shorts for the first time in like 2021. See how we're doing here. Git status. So if I do a diff, we're going to see loads. We've got a helper function at the top. We renamed that to weather. And now we're mapping that daily forecast into a forecast React component. Perfect. So git add, git commit -m, display response from weather API page. And I'll do a push so that you can follow along too. Sunder B says, why does the week start on Sunday? Now, this is a good question. I'm just going to hazard a guess. So in the UK, the week starts on Monday. It's just how it is. But in the US, I think the week starts on Sunday, at least sometimes, which has always felt like a weird one to me because you've got the week and then the weekend, right? Saturday, Sunday is the weekend. Why would you split it at the beginning and the end? But in some parts of the world, the week starts on Sunday, which I presume is why this date thing starts on a Sunday. Bit of a weird one, but hey ho. Okay, so we've pushed this one up. Let's do a cleanup. Let's make it look good. What are we going to tackle first? I think let's sort out some number formatting here. We don't need this to say, there we go, lots of people saying, yeah, starts on a Sunday where they are. Interesting. Never seen the appeal, but sometimes it's just how it is, Okay, let's do some number formatting. We don't need these 2 decimal places. I think just rounding to the nearest integer there is going to be fine. What's the best way to do that in JavaScript? I think it's the toFixed function. So if I were to say const a equals 11, a.toFixed 0 will give me it as a string. Perfect. So let's just do that. Scroll down, we'll put that in here. So min temp we'll put as, so it's quite nice to get the temperature as like a number passed through to our React component because it's like the purest form of the data. And then we'll format it within our React component. So we'll do min temp.toFixed 0, followed by, now if you're on a Mac, you can press Alt or Option and the 0 key, and you get a little degree symbol, little degrees. We can do the same here, toFixed 0, and then a little degree symbol. Certainly on a UK keyboard, I have no idea about other keyboards, but this is starting to look a lot better. Actually, let me go and put the C on the end as well. So we've got min this, max this. If you're on a Windows computer, you can hold the Alt key and then type 0176 on your numpad, or just do what everyone else does and just go degree symbol. And then just copy and paste it. This is another easy way to do it. This is looking good. Let's go ahead and commit that as well. Nice bite-sized chunks for our commits. So git diff tells us that just change this formatting. So I'll go git add dot git commit -m. We'll say format temperatures. Temperatures. Git push Okay. And there's all sorts of interesting stuff here we could do, right? We could set the background color of the row to correspond to the weather type or correspond to the temperature or something, get some nicer formatting in here. But before I jump into anything like that, it's a bit weird. This is showing me -0 as a number. Actually, why is that showing me -0? I wonder if we go to the components, can we see this? Yeah, so I'm now using the React dev tools. If you've not seen these before, oh, they're so good. It allows you can just go and Google React developer tools, download them. They're an extension to your browser's developer tools. And you can literally click on an element like forecast, like the React component for forecast, and see the props as they're passed through. So this is what's happening is our min temp. We are we're doing a .to fixed, which I presume will kind of truncate it. Maybe we just want a math.round or something like that. Like if I actually grab that number, oops, and I open my console and I do that .to fixed, that gives me -0 as a string. Maybe I can do math.round that number. It still gives me -0. This is just like a JavaScript quirk. Not one like you see in -0. It doesn't make any sense. Why JavaScript has 2 zeros? Oh man, this is us going down a rabbit hole. In pure mathematics, 0 means nothing. Its sign doesn't matter. This is bizarre. Well, I'm learning stuff as well as you. Like Sunder B, you can have -0 and floating point. Interesting. I mean, I guess it's technically a number, but you got to think about the end user here, right? Like a developer can know that, yeah, -0 is a thing in a floating point. But if I'm someone's, grandmother and I check this and I see -0 for the weather, I'm just going to be a bit confused. I just wonder if there's an easy way to force it to always be +0. There's a minor niggle with stringifying it. Calling to string will always give +0. That's exactly what I want. This is some crazy stuff. -0 equal to 0, true. -0 is less than 0, false. So they're clearly the same thing. The object is different. This is so weird. Is there not an easy way to fix it? I think just like a ternary operator or something. So let's say, oh, that was it. So it's both these temps. I'm thinking now actually we could do with a formatting function, given that we're now not only reusing the logic to fixed, we're also we're also putting a degree C on the end and potentially doing some stuff with 0. So let's just put another wrapper at the top. Ideally these could live in another file. Actually, you're right. Let's put it in another file. Let's do it properly. So we'll go here. We'll go new directory. I'm going to go ahead and call it, let's say components. And then within components, I'll make another directory called, actually, rather than a directory, let's just make a file. We'll call it utils.js. Don't bother with adding it to Git. And then within here, we can copy this function over. And then the other one we wanted is function format temp number. Deal with that in just a second. I think we want to say export. Also here, export. Am I doing this correctly? Now instead of that, I can say import, whatever it's called. Convert day number to Word from components/utils. Unused import. Really? Aren't we using it further down? Oh, because convert. What did I call it? Day number to Word. Convert day number to Word. Default export is not declared. Do I have to do it like this? Yeah, that looks better. And then our second one was the format temp. So we're going to say if say if firstly, let's say if the temp number is greater than -1 and strictly less than +1, i.e. it's in the range of like minus 0.999 to positive 0.999, then we're just going to return, let's make this really useful. We'll go const, what's the phrase? Scale equals, or units rather. Const units equals C, degrees C, and we'll return 0 degrees C, right? I need to make that more complicated than it already is. In all other cases, we want temp number dot to fixed 0. Unless if we do it as a template string, I can also include the units on the end like that. Okay, so we've got temp number dot to fixed 0 is going to round it to an integer and then whack the units on the end. But if it's between -1 and +1, and then we'll just do it 0. Is it really -1 or +1 we should be using, or should it be -0.5? Positive 0.5. Depends. Does to fixed, what kind of rounding does dot to fixed do? If it does like rounding, then you want -5 to positive 0.5. But if it does like truncating or flooring, then we want -1 to +1. If this argument's omitted, it's treated as 0. Interesting. Has exactly this many digits after decimal. The number is rounded if necessary. I mean, yeah, floating point numbers and stuff gets all a bit crazy anyway, but rounding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 point something goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So yes, it rounds it, which means we can get rid of that 0, which is totally unnecessary because it does that by default. Secondly, we can change this to -0.5 and positive 0.5. Go back to our index, and then where is it? Further down, we're doing the here min temp. So min is, get rid of that and just put make import function. Format temp. Temp is in temperature, not temporary. Format temp, min temp, and then we'll do exactly the same thing here with the max temperature. Format temp, max temp. Okay, let's come back to our application, see if that's fixed it. Yes, beautiful. Got a positive 0. Hope you enjoyed that little adventure, because I certainly learned something there. Let's do a git diff. You see what we've got. So we've removed that from here, removed that, done an import, changed its formatting. Wait, where's my file? Let me add them to git, and then if I do a git diff, so git diff will only do it on tracked files. So because this is a new file, it's not tracked yet. Now that I've done an add, you see they're ready to be committed. So instead of git diff, which shows me nothing, I can do a git diff -- cached, which will show me everything that is staged. So we've got this utils file and the changes to that file, which makes perfect sense. So git, it's already added, so we can just do a straight git commit. We'll say fix -0 bug in temp formatting. Git push. Wow, time really does fly. It's we don't have a huge amount of time left in this session, but we still got some time. What's this issue? Oh, this is the key problem. So I mentioned yesterday in my session that when you do like a map or a list or something like that in React, every element should have a unique key prop. This is so React can keep track of those components. But when we're doing that, we're not passing through a key prop. The key needs to be unique between each entry. Now, a unique entry for each of these in the array is this DT option, right? And this is the timestamp for the day. So we can just use that. So that'll be here. We can just say key equals forecast.dt. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking this formatting also belongs in the in this function. Yeah, let's do that as a separate commit. If I reload, we should now lose the key warning is gone. So quick git diff tells us it's all we've changed. So we'll just do a git add, git commit -m, add unique key to each forecast component. Hit push, and then we're going to move this function down. So really, we just want to pass through forecast.dt, don't we? So we'll do that. Go to our forecast definition, and then instead of day, we're actually going to do it here. All we've done is move the formatting logic into our forecast component. And managed to break it in the process, because now they all say Monday. New date of day. Forecast.dt. I got rid of the times 1,000. That looks better. If looks good, so we'll do git add, git commit -m, move day formatting to forecast component. Let's take a moment now to clean up some of our styles and wording and stuff. Like, I don't really want the word transaction anywhere because that's from the old banking stuff. Instead, we're just going to go with a forecast. I think is it Command Shift F, Command Shift G, Command Shift R, Command R. This is what I'm trying to do. So I'll put transaction here and we'll replace with forecast. Now I'm not going to do a straight replace all because I want to see everywhere that we're doing it. So transactions we're turning into forecasts. Same here. This is a forecast, 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 forecast. Okay, we can actually get rid of those as well because we don't need that income and expenditure stuff. Come back, all fine, and a git diff shows us that we just renamed that to forecasts. Git add, git commit -m, use forecast terminology instead of transaction. Git push. Okay, now we've done a bunch of code stuff. Let's actually focus on these icons. Now, I did a cheeky bit of looking at this API before I came on this live stream, and I found that it actually gives you an easy way to do the icons, which is like so good to see. In that weather object that gets returned, so if we take a look at that, for example, in our daily, and we pick a day, in our weather object, we've got the description, scattered clouds. We're not using that. We're using main to show the word clouds or the word clear, something like that. And there's also this icon thing, 03D, which is a bit weird. And if we look at it, it turns out it's the ID for the weather icon. And if we click on how to get icons, it's showing us this icon list, specifically how to get an icon URL. You see here, right? The URL is just this thing with that code in it. So in this case, it's showing 10D. On our application, we were getting a 03D. So if I put 03D here instead of 10D, I'm getting a picture of the clouds. So we can just straight up grab that and display it, just display that image. Problem solved. So let's grab this URL. And again, I'm going to do this with another little React component. And a bit later, we'll clean up all the formatting and stuff. But for now, beneath our forecast, we'll actually make another component down here. The function weather icon. And we'll import the code, I guess. Code specifically is the weather code. Then we'll say return. This can be really simple. It's just an image whose source is equal to Now we'll just do that. And let's do something like this. We need it to be a JSX expression. And then instead of 10D, we can actually do this with template strings. So I'll put a backtick, change this to HTTPS, end. Delete that bit, and then we're going to put weather code. So using template strings, we're now going to get https://openweathermap.org/image/wn, followed by that 3-character weather code, 10D or 03N or something, at 2 times .png, and it's just going to render that as an image tag. What's this warning? Oh, then we need an alt attribute as well. So if we're really doing this properly, we should actually also pass through the weather description, then do that as alt equals weather description. Super useful for people using screen readers and stuff like that. So now within our forecast component, rather than just saying the word weather, let's actually go back to where that's used. So we don't want to include .main. Let's include the whole object that comes from the API. And then instead of this here, we can include in this div, we'll have a weather icon. And we need to set the weather code is equal to weather dot icon, wasn't it? And the weather description is just weather dot. I think it's just description. Okay, let's give this one a go, see how it's showing up on our page. Look at that. How good is that? We've actually got some weather icons coming through. This is awesome to see. Absolutely love it. Need to do something about the background here because the cloud being very light gray on a white background is not perfect. Snow is black apparently. So I'm not sure how we're going to tackle that. Let's see if they've got any information here about the weathers, about the icons. And actually, let's just double check the alt tag as well, make sure that's set correctly. Yeah, alt equals overcast cloud. So I think if I hover over that, is it the title that does that? Yeah, title gives you that. So let's actually go ahead and set title and alt. Title equals weather description. Spread this out onto some new lines as well, just to make it easier to read. Beautiful. Is there anything here about the background? It is possible to meet more than one weather condition for a requested location. So we saw that earlier, that apparently weather comes back as an array. The first weather condition in the API response is primary. An example, weather 0 and 1, so mist and drizzle. Okay. Oh, there's a day icon and a night icon. Is that why the snowflake was dark? Day and night is the same. Clear sky. The weather condition codes, there's all this stuff. There's so much detail in this API. I just want to pick a background that's going to make them all stand out. Maybe blue or something. Like if I were to set on every forecast element a background of blue, well, that does not look so good. Could do forecasts. But that's narrow. Also not looking too hot. Actually, we can just do the main background, can't we? Background, let's say red, just to be clear. Yeah. So get rid of it on the forecasts. Just have it here. And then, clearly red is not what we're going to go with. We pick something a bit nicer and go into our blues. Weather apps like their blue, don't they? Maybe something here would be good. That pops. Let's go with this for now, and then Yeah, it's a great suggestion here, right? It would be lovely if I could get this to alternate. Maybe we'll tackle that one in a little bit if we've got time. So we set the background. I'll just copy that one, go over to our style sheets, and then .4. What was it on? It was dot on the main, wasn't it? So our main background is that hex code. And so now as I reload, got blue. Perfect. I think we need to do something about our image size as well, because it's kind of busted the the layout here. How wide is it coming through? It's coming through at 100, and it's a 2 times 1. So I reckon if we set our images everywhere to 50, this looks a bit more sensible. Well, it has changed this background at the bottom. Tackle that one in a minute, one step at a time. So got global styles. Let's just put a class name on these images as well. Hey, why are there spaces? Get rid. Class name equals weather icon. And then here we'll say .weather icon is going to be an image of width 50 pixels, we said, didn't we? And as I reload, didn't work. Why did it not work? Did I do something wrong with my styles? .forecast, class name equals forecast. So that works fine. And then, these styles need to go not in this component because that's the wrong component. It actually needs to be here. So we need to do a React fragment, which I always think is like the weirdest thing, but it is what it is. And that's just because I need to return 2 separate elements here. So style JSX looking like this. Okay, let's get this indented a bit. See if this is now working. That looks better. Let's just figure out why our background as well, while we're doing styles, was a bit messed up. Main. So main is not the full height of the page. Indeed, container is min height 100 VH. Just put something like that on main, min height 100%. No, 100 VH. Oh, geez, that's not good. Why is that coming through? Because you've got a flex. I'm not sure this should be a flex box, you know. I turn that off on main. Well, there's so many options here. Flex can go. I tell you what, I'm just going to override it with like a display block. Okay, that's better, but there's still a gap at the top there. In fact, it's really not looking too exciting. Let me just reload this page, make sure my styles aren't broken. Main, we could go min height. 100% doesn't work. 100 VH kind of works. Pulls it all down, which is bizarre. I'm going to get rid of the flex on the main because I don't actually think we need that. I can get rid of, I think, all of those, to be honest. Perfect. Almost. We still got this weird gap thing going on at the top. HTML and then body both have padding 0. There's this next thing, which has no styles, and there's container. Why is it appearing like a chunk down the page? That's what I want to know. I wonder if I just put 100% on this now. This is like CSS at its worst. Got the header, we've got the forecasts. It says overflow, right, but why is it overflowing? If I take that off the container, why is the container loading a chunk down the page? So that's 755 pixels tall, 775 pixels tall. So somewhere we're losing 20 pixels, but I don't know where they're going. Is that it? Is that it? That's 0. That's I'm baffled, you know. Let me just reload, make sure. I want to see where we're at again. So this gap's appeared after I commented out the flex. So if I put the flex back, right, and then I just need this to extend down even further. You know what? There's an easier way for me to do this. Rather than putting the background color on the main, go up a level, put it on the body. Problem solved. There you go. Let's not stress about that too much. So we'll cut that out of there, and then where are global styles? Style JSX, global styles, and then I'll just put that on the body itself. And as I reload, that's all good. Okay, so we've got our icons on. I think I've got changed quite a lot. So if I do a git diff with 2 Fs, we've got the weather stuff, we've got background for the body, we've got our weather icon, and our styles for the icon. Perfect. Let's do a git add git commit -m display weather icons on forecast, and a git push. Beautiful. How else can we make this look better? We've still got 20 minutes, so we'll spend a couple more minutes on this, and then we'll look at how to deploy it, actually, because that's a really important step. I would love to make these rows striped. That'd be so cool. But I don't know why their width is so weird. Can I just put like a width of 100% on these? Did I do it? Nope. We could probably cheat and do 100 VW. It's actually not a terrible idea, you know. So VW means like the width of the window. So if we do that, I think we just need to increase our padding and stuff a bit, and then that's probably possible, you know. Go on to our day padding. So we got top, right, bottom, left. So it goes clockwise. So if I knock this up to say 36, and I do the same for temperature, knock that up to 36. Then our weather icon, wherever the padding is, knock that up to 36. I think I can live with that. We can also put a bold on the day. So we can just go font weight, bold, or let's say 600, right? Because that's what we're importing in terms of Google Fonts. And we've got min and max. Yeah, I think this is good. Now we changed quite a few things there. So if I head to changes, it will show me. So on a forecast, we put width of 100 VW. So that belongs here. Then on our day, we changed the padding and added a font weight. So that goes to here. And then the temp, I think we just changed the padding. Yeah, and then on the weather, we also just changed the padding. So grab that. Save. Do a cheeky reload to refresh it all. Now it's starting to look good. So we've got our bold and stuff, but we want to do some alternating backgrounds. So let's go to the forecast element. Now there's a powerful feature in CSS where it's called, I think it's nth child or nth of type or something like that. You can kind of, you know, at school when you're learning sequences and stuff, and it's like 2n plus 3 would give you, you know, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so on. You can use that to select elements of CSS, which is how you set the backgrounds to be alternating. So I can just need to think about how we want to do this. Let me add a new rule here. So for every forecast element that is Let's say nth child 2n. So that will select all the even numbers. Just to prove that this works, we'll go background yellow. Oh, this does not work. Why did that not work? And is it just one? Nth child 2n? There we go. So now we're starting to see some stuff be striped. I think the yellow is actually not a terrible shout, but it's a bit garish. Let's try a different blue. So we could have a kind of a darker blue. Just a little bit off. Something like that works, to be honest. Let's do that. So what's the rule we added? On dot forecast with nth child 2n, we added the background. So let me just copy that whole block. Find it here. Get some indentation going on. Then this JSX thing is kind of generated by React. We don't need that. We just specify this class name. And if I do a reload, this looks sick. I think we're in a good position now to do a final commit and actually get this deployed and also submit it onto the local Hackday share dev post. So if I do a git diff just to check what we've done, we've added some width stuff, put the background colors in, change the padding to correspond to the new widths. Brill. So we'll go git add dot git commit dash m, add striped background colors to forecasts. Git push. Amazing. This is starting to look really sick, and I'm really excited about it. Let's go and actually get this deployed then. So this is a Next.js app, right? A JavaScript application using the Next.js framework. Next.js is awesome because it is super, super, super easy to deploy using this platform called Vercel, linked at the top. Deploy on the platform made for Next.js. So if you click on this, it's going to bring you to a page where you can deploy completely free. Just a simple static site deploys for free. So we'll click on that. And I am already logged into Vercel. So let me actually just sign out just to show you what this is going to look like. So we're at the Vercel homepage. I'm doing a sign up or log in, whatever. I'm just going to go ahead and log in with my GitHub account, but you can just create a free account. It's really simple. And once you're logged in, it's going to take me to my dashboard. I've got a hobby account. Now, if I go to new project, this is the screen we just saw, and it's listing kind of all my Git repositories that I've given access to. There's Major League Banking from yesterday, but we're going to do Major League Forecasting. So if I click on import here, I'm not doing it on a team, it's just on my personal account. So I'll select that. Project name we'll leave as default. Framework is identified as Next.js. We can leave that the same. We can leave this the same. We can leave this the same, right? All we've done is select which repository we want and make sure we agree with the name. And then we click on deploy. And this is like magic. It's like the easiest deployment. It's like GitHub Pages levels of easiness, but it's an actual Node.js application. So it will do all of that for you. And you can see here what it's doing, right? It's cloning the repository locally. It's installing the build runtime, apparently. It's doing some some Next.js stuff. There is no build cache because it's not built it before. So it's installing the dependencies. It's just done an npm install. It's detected its Next.js project, so it's running npm run build. So we ran npm run dev, which kind of gives us a local development server. They're doing npm run build, which gives us a fixed kind of static site as a set of files rather than running a server. And it's built these files out, the JavaScript and whatnot. It's identified this Lambda function. Ooh. Look at that. Congratulations, your project's been successfully deployed. I can click on this visit button, and there it is, our weather app. And this is deployed a proper URL, majorleagueforecasting.vercel.app. If I grab my phone here, I can go to this page. So it's major-forecasting.vercel.app. I can go to it. If I hold this up the camera, can you see? There it is, Major League Forecasting. And can I scroll it? Yeah, this is so awesome. We've now built a web app with our weather forecast, and it took literally 2 minutes to deploy. And that was absolutely incredible. I'm a huge fan of Vercel. Now, you'll probably notice that this is looking quite a bit wider than when we were developing locally. And if you remember, that's because all I did was in my developer tools, I clicked on the emulate icon or responsive design or whatever you want to call it. And it kind of gives it an iPhone screen. I could do something else. I could say like an iPhone 8 Plus, which is a bit wider. I could go for something like an iPad if I wanted. If you're an Android person, there's a Galaxy S9 option, right? All sorts of stuff in terms of sizes. Kindle Fire, God knows why you'd want that. So this is a great way to do it locally. Now this is I absolutely love Next.js for this reason, because you've got Vercel, which is super good at deploying. Like it's literally zero config, and it just removes so many headaches when you want to write React. You just get in and it's already set up, and you just start writing React code. You don't need to think about Webpack. You don't need to think about Gulp or anything, or Babel or anything like that. It just works, and that's why I like it. For building a web app like this, it's just it's fire. It's fantastic. So we've got this deployed. Now what we should definitely do is update our README file with this link. So we've got, where is it here? I'll just put a link in here, deployed at, grab this URL, put that in. Then I will do a git add.git commit -m, add deployment link to README, followed by git push. Now, when we do a git push, it will actually redeploy on Vercel. Takes a minute or two, but obviously we're not going to see any changes because all we've changed is the README. And that's it within Vercel, deployed. I can open the dashboard, and there's a few options and things I can look at. You can see here this upcoming build is from that commit I've just done. But this is awesome. I really love it. You can add domain names and stuff to it as well if you want to get funky and you've got a custom domain from somewhere. But it just makes me so happy. It's really just such a good platform to use. You've got loads of other options for static hosting. GitHub Pages works if it's already built. You can set it up with GitHub Actions as well, but there's a bit of overhead. Netlify is another very strong contender for this kind of stuff. I don't think it's quite as smooth as Next.js because Vercel is built like specifically for it. But Netlify is another good option. Or you can go hardcore and do it on Linode or AWS or Google Cloud or something like that. Let's make sure we go and submit this onto... Sorry, before we submit it, we need to update our repository with the description. So we've got there, and we'll say it's a example weather forecasting application built for local hack day share 2021. Get rid of releases and packages. I will leave environments because when I save changes, there's this one environment showing up, this production environment, and it's showing here the activity log deployed by Vercel. So now there we have it, a weather application built with Next.js in JavaScript. Let's now take the time to submit it onto DevPost. So the URL you need for DevPost is, let me see, I've got it here on the stream. It is that one. So you'll see the bottom banner has just changed, hackpack/LHD share week-long DevPost. What a mouthful. LHD share, that one. I'm also going to paste it in the chat for those of you who don't like typing. This one here, and we'll go to... I don't want it in the MLH tab, actually. I'm just going to open it in a personal, normal tab. Otherwise, I'll submit using the MLH account. That's no good. Oh, I want to submit again, don't I? So I'll click Create Project. Project name, Major League Forecasting. Forecast the weather. MLH style. Now we need a thumbnail as well. So let's grab a thumbnail quickly. Do that. Close out of that. Yeah, let's just take a screenshot of this. Save it to desktop. And if I click Edit Thumbnail, go to my desktop, grab So this one? Nope. This one? This one. Click open. There it is. Save and continue. Fill out the rest of this as well. Inspiration. Weather is awesome. Excited to see the UK. What was it that one of you said in the chat earlier? Something about the UK having 4 types of weather in one day. We said, here we go. Snowy Pigeon said, it said we get all 4 seasons in a single day in the UK. Said we get all 4 seasons in a single day in the UK. This weather app lets you check that. But it does. Predicts the weather. A little emoji on the end there as well. How we built it. Next.js and the openweathermap.org API. And this supports Markdown, so I'll put a cheeky little link in here. Challenges we ran into. That is a good question. I think this was not so difficult this time around compared to yesterday. What kind of challenges did we face when we were building this? We had trouble, certainly had trouble handling the API response with multiple weather and stuff. So let's just say processing the API response. Accomplishments we're proud of, showing the weather and getting it deployed. What we learned how to use a weather API, how to deploy a Next.js application to Vercel. Oh yeah, it's another good point. A challenge was the -0 thing. Yeah, I'd not thought of that. Challenges we ran into processing the API response and dealing with -0 in JavaScript. What we learned, JavaScript has both a -0 and +0. Good call. What's next for Major League forecasting? Forecasting the weather forever. It is built with Next.js. Is that available? Next.js. It's built with JavaScript. Yeah, that'll do. Now let's put the GitHub link on. And we can also put the demo site link on, which is this Vercel one. Beautiful. I've already got a picture, but I'll just drag that. I'll just put that one on again, the screenshot. Save and continue. And the share challenge. This one is there even a weather one here? Automate something, create a web scraping application, brand, business, translator, health, financial, mobile app, browser extension, make a website, deploy a website. Oh, I don't think we've got a web one, weather one. I think I'm going to lump it into, let's cheekily say, create a mobile app. Yeah, let's do that. Because it's kind of a mobile app, right? It's like a mobile web app. It was the day dev post. Am I submitting it the wrong one? What's the day dev post? Glad you folks know how to do this because I really don't have a clue. Registration challenges, daily challenges. Oh man, you're right. What are we on today? Weather. Day 4 dev post. So my bad, I was totally wrong about the dev post. I need to reopen it in personal container, and I just hope I don't have to submit the project to this. Let me check. If I click on join hackathon on this one, working solo, I was told about it by MLH via email. Is that project already created? Import from portfolio? No, this is so sad. I'm just going to have to do it again. That's fine. So the project name was Major League Forecasting. I can just grab all these details from here. the elevator pictures. That one. Cars were here. There's a car again. Yeah, exactly. I'm planning to copy and paste each of the each of the stuff over. Continue with submission. So we got that. It's built with, what do we say it was built with? Next.js, JavaScript. Oops, JavaScript. Definitely another language as far as I know. JavaScript. Team members, I'm working solo. About the project is this block, so we'll just copy and paste this one in. He's Robbie. He won't go the easy way. What do you mean by that? You say I overcomplicate things? Never. Oh wow, that is not the picture I wanted to put up. Whoa. Wow, that's even more upset. Where's my screenshot gone? Okay, it's that one. I need my try it out links. It's this one. And then this cell link. Okay. Continue. Edit has been saved. Okay, challenge. Weather API is what I'm looking for. Complete submission. Beautiful. That has been right on time, folks. I'm not running late today. We finished with 1 minute to spare. It's been my absolute pleasure to be your host this evening. I'm so excited that we've built this Major League forecasting, hopefully going to take over the world, forecasting the weather MLH style. You can grab me at robbie.dev as my personal website, or Google my name, my LinkedIn, and all sorts of stuff will come up. So once again, Robbie from Major League Hacking. Super enjoyed being here today. Hope you've enjoyed having me on stream. It's been a blast vibing with you all in Twitch chat. Thank you so much for coming along, and see you. I'm doing a super early stream tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. UK time. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.